Child exploitation is a complex safeguarding issue that is often hidden and does not always present in a clear or obvious way. In many cases, practitioners will observe behavior or changes in presentation long before any disclosure is made, and in some situations, disclosure may not occur at all. This means that safeguarding in this area relies heavily on observation, professional judgment, and the ability to look beyond surface-level behavior. What is visible may not accurately reflect what is happening, and behavior that appears challenging, withdrawn, or difficult may in fact be linked to pressure, control, or harm. The purpose of this section is to establish a clear understanding that exploitation is not defined by behavior alone, but by the context, influence, and risk that may sit beneath it. What is exploitation? Child exploitation is defined as a form of abuse in which a child is manipulated, coerced, or controlled for the benefit of another individual or group. This benefit may be financial, social, sexual, or related to status or influence, and the child is placed in a position where their needs are secondary to those of the exploiter. A key feature of exploitation is the presence of a power imbalance. This imbalance may relate to age, experience, authority, access to resources, or emotional influence, and it allows the person causing harm to shape the situation in a way that limits the child's ability to make informed or independent decisions. It is important to recognize that even when a child appears to agree with what is happening, that agreement does not represent genuine consent, as it is often shaped by pressure, need, or manipulation. Child sexual exploitation involves a child being persuaded, pressured, or forced into sexual activity in exchange for something. This may include money, gifts, attention, protection, or perceived affection, and the exchange does not need to be clearly understood by the child for exploitation to be present. In many cases, exploitation develops through grooming, where the child is given attention, validation, or support that meets an emotional need. Over time, this can lead to dependency, which is then used to introduce expectations or demands. It is also important to recognize that the child may not identify the situation as abusive. They may describe the relationship in positive terms or feel a sense of attachment to the individual involved, which can make recognition and disclosure more difficult. For practitioners, the focus should remain on the possibility of manipulation, pressure, and control, rather than relying solely on how the child describes the situation. Child criminal exploitation involves a child being used to carry out criminal activity for the benefit of another person or group. This may include transporting drugs, handling money, storing items, or acting as a point of contact, often within organized activities such as county lines. Control within these situations is frequently maintained through a combination of coercion, intimidation, and dependency. Children may be given items or opportunities that create a perceived debt, or they may be threatened with harm to themselves or others if they do not comply. A key challenge in practice is that children involved in criminal exploitation may be viewed as offenders rather than victims. This can lead to a response that focuses on behavior rather than safeguarding risk. It is essential to recognize that involvement in criminal activity does not remove the child's vulnerability, and that the underlying dynamics of control and exploitation must be considered. Grooming is the process through which exploitation is often established and maintained. It typically begins with attention, trust building, and the meeting of a child's emotional or practical needs, which can create a sense of connection and belonging. As the relationship develops, the child may become increasingly dependent on the individual involved, and this dependency can be used to introduce expectations, apply pressure, and establish control. Control may be subtle or overt. It can involve emotional manipulation, the creation of obligation, isolation from support networks, or the use of threats and intimidation. One of the most challenging aspects of grooming is that it can create a situation in which the child feels both attached to and controlled by the same person. This can make it difficult for the child to recognize harm or seek support, and it reinforces the importance of professional curiosity and careful observation. Key takeaways. There are several key principles that underpin effective safeguarding in relation to child exploitation. Finally, safeguarding is a collective responsibility. Effective protection relies on communication, consistency, and a shared commitment to recognizing and responding to risk at the earliest possible stage.